What do I look at?
You look at the camera.
Oh, okay.
All right, we're live right now. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Justin.
I'm Emily.
And you're watching That Christian Vlogger. We actually are doing this live, so if you're watching this video live right now, let us know where in the world you're actually watching us from. But today we wanted to talk to you guys about being debt-free and kind of the journey to get there. I read some statistics recently that kind of blew my mind away. According to one website, the average class in 2017 graduated with $39,400 in debt. That was like the average amount of debt.
In Korea?
No, in someone's saying that they're from North Korea. Reading the chat. But the average debt was $39,000. So that's kind of a lot. Americans owe just in student loans $1.48 trillion in debt.
That's crazy.
That is $620 billion more than the total amount in U.S. credit card debt.
Whew.
So, you know, obviously student loans are a huge issue. It's a problem. And we want to kind of share with you guys our story because as of December of last year, what happened for us?
We became debt-free.
Yeah, you're going to have just let us know if you can hear when we're talking because the mic is up here out of frame and Emily talks quieter than I do. So you're going to have to speak a little bit more loudly. But yeah, in December, we got debt-free, which was awesome. We had been married for how long up to that point?
A year, 2.5 years? About?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
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 And so we finally were able to make it debt-free, which was an exciting time. And so we want to kind of share with you guys a little bit of our story and our journey, kind of how we got there and maybe some of the lessons that we learned kind of getting to that point. So you're going to have to scoot in a little bit, babe.
Sorry.
Why don't you scoot your chair in?
Ow! Ooh, ooh.
Sorry.
You got me.
Yeah, I pinched your finger a little bit. Sorry about that. All right. So for you were not raised, and neither was I for that matter, but you were not raised in a very like wealthy family, were you? Tell me a little bit about like kind of like what life was like growing up for you.
Middle class. I wouldn't say we were super poor. Like I grew up in a family of 4, so like I had hand-me-down clothes for sure and hand-me-down toys as the youngest of 4.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember like kind of being envious of my other friends who like, you know, had cable TV and all the latest toys, but life was not hard. Like we always had food on the table. We lived in like, I had a bedroom to myself, you know.
That's nice.
A lot of people don't have that in a family of 4. Like grew up on 5 acres, so yeah, pretty nice. Yeah,
your family just sold the house that they were living out of for like 30 years or something.
30 years, yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Yeah. And you are the youngest out of your family, so you definitely did like a lot of the hand-me-downs and stuff.
Oh yeah, especially from my cousins too, because I had like a lot of girl cousins that were a couple of years older than me, so I get like their dresses and their Barbies, and like I got a lot of hand-me-downs. But I didn't mind it. I don't know.
You're happy with it?
I didn't care.
Okay, so you made it through college. You have a degree in
occupational therapy.
Occupational therapy, and well, that's a master's degree, right?
Yeah. And
by the time you graduated, what was kind of your student loan situation?
It wasn't bad. Undergrad, I only had 2 years, so at Walla Walla University, and I only had like $5,000 from that because it was a little cheaper. Mm-hmm. And I had a couple scholarships, and then at Loma Linda, it was graduate school, so it was a lot more. But my parents really did help me out with some. Which
is a blessing.
Yeah, which was such a blessing because they wanted me to like be debt-free too, but you know, I had to take out some loans, so yeah. I definitely wasn't as much in debt as like my classmates.
So that's 2 years undergrad and then
about 3 years.
3 years graduate school. So 5 years of school. You graduated with how much in debt again?
About 30,000.
30,000. So you're kind of right around like the norm as far as like the average, right, is concerned. That's slightly below average.
That's interesting that's the average because I like know so many people that are like 100K in debt.
Well, that's because some people have way more and some people have way less. Yeah. So I like your story because it's something that is kind of in the middle. It's not like extravagant in one way or the other. Yeah. Obviously, you were blessed that you had parents to help you with, but not everyone who's watching has parents who can help them with their student loans.
Yeah.
So that's not always the most helpful or hopeful thing for someone who's out there is like, yeah, but I don't have anything to help me with that. So that's Emily's story. We'll share kind of the things that we've done over the years to kind of help us pay off her student loans. But for me, babe, no,
sorry,
you're supposed to scoot in.
I need to.
You stay where you are.
But I want this to go up more so I can lean back.
Oh, okay.
Is that better?
That's
okay?
bad. You can see yourself in frame right there.
Okay.
For me, I grew up I grew up in a family that was comfortable but not like wealthy by any means. My dad was always the kind of person that would always try and teach us through like the school of hard knocks, through lessons. And whenever I asked my father,
sorry,
that's gonna be picking up in the audio.
I need a fidget. I'm weird.
Here, fidget with this. You can spin that around. This is what I do when I'm antsy. I spin this around. Okay. So my dad, anytime I would ask him for anything, hey dad, I wanted to get the latest game, or I wanted to get a book, or I wanted to get a toy of some sort, my dad never said no, but he also never said yes. He always said, okay, what are you going to do to earn it? And many days I was out there pulling weeds, I was digging holes in the front lawn to install sprinkler systems, I was working at his office and helping him in his practice and things like that. So my dad always tried to teach me the value of hard work. One thing that my dad always told me kind of growing up was, Justin, I'm not going to help you through college, which is really different from what your family did. And I think that there's value in both. Your parents, they wanted to help you and they did the best that they could. And that's saying a lot because they had several children. So that's a tough thing. But my dad basically was like, no, like you're just going to do this. You got to work, you got to earn it. And I really appreciated that as well. So both of us, we went to colleges that annual tuition was like right around $30,000 a year, right? My first year of college, I made it through because of scholarships and working. I think I worked 3 jobs my first year in college while taking 21 units of classes.
No free time.
No free time. And I made it through my first year, paid off my full bill for that first year, and then I was just like, oh shoot, I don't know if I want to be able to keep on doing this. And so I actually ended up going kind of a different route, a different perspective. And so actually I wanted to jump in real quick and share with you guys a verse, because I think that this is super important. This is kind of the verse that I think a lot about when it comes to debt and money, especially when it comes to student loans. It says right here in Proverbs chapter 22, verse 7, it says, the rich rules over the poor and the borrower is servant to the lender. Now, I don't know about you, but I definitely don't want to be a slave. That doesn't sound like a great time. The Bible's saying that if you're in debt, that's like a form of slavery. And so for me, like, one of the things that I really valued a lot was staying out of debt as best as I possibly could. Oh, my streaming service might be going crazy right now. Is this working? Oh, it might be working. Let me know if the streaming service is still working live, guys. I'm having some issues on my end from the software. Let's see. This is dumb. Yes, it's working. Okay, cool. Thank you, Aurora. I appreciate that. So, I ended up leaving that school because it was very, very, very expensive, and I ended up getting my college degree online instead. And so there are many different routes. There's different ways that you can go around doing your college experience. There's different things that you can do. One is that you just do like crazy good scholarships and you're like super smart and get straight A's and do all the extracurricular activities and get a full ride. Like that's one way to do it. One way is that you just work super, super, super hard and you work multiple jobs, pay it off. But then most of us are kind of in the middle way. How did you make it through college, minimizing your student loans? You obviously mentioned that your parents helped you out a bit, but what else was that?
I always did have a job. I didn't work 3 jobs like you because I don't think I could manage that with my personality and my brain and study habits. So yeah, I always had at least one job though. Mm-hmm. So that helped out with like the living expenses, which was good. Mm-hmm. Like one thing that I know some people in my class did, like they would take like all money out for student loans to pay for tuition, and they would still go on like Europe vacations during, summer break and with that money, and that's like digging them into a deeper hole. So like just kind of being smart about things. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I
remember watching a video on YouTube of this guy who was like a filmmaker. Like that was his college degree. He was studying like cinematography or whatever the case is. And then he basically spent the entire student loans, I think, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 grand that he had borrowed, and surprised his girlfriend to take him on like a trip to Europe, like spur of the moment.
Yeah.
And like made a video about it. It was like, dude, like that's super cool. That's sexy on the internet. Like, oh, that sounds like such a great story. Oh, like screw my student loans. I'm going to go and travel the world. It's like, but that's also like really unwise to do that. And I've had friends that do that. Like they spend all their student loan money on eating out every day, on, you know, like just living kind of a little bit extra. And if you have money, then great. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But doing that with student loans can really end up backfiring on you in a really big way. Student loans can like really end up screwing up your life. I think one of the things that has always stood out to me when it comes to money is that the number one cause that people get divorced is because of over money problems. And so I always was like, that's definitely not what I want to experience for my life and my family and our relationship.
Yeah.
So we got married how many years ago now? That's been
2015.
A little over 3 years.
Yeah.
It's been a little over 3 years. And you brought into the marriage $30,000 in student loan.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Yeah, right. It's like, oh, great. That's wonderful. I actually was able to get through college debt free. And so I went to that one school that was like $30,000 a year. And then I quit that, said, no, not doing that. And I ended up doing school online. And I did an online degree through a school called Western Governors University. And I basically worked a full-time job while I was doing online college to try and pay off my school. And what was cool about this online college is that it's actually very, very, very cheap. Huh. I was working in ministry, and I think I was working like full-time somewhere in the realm of like $1,500 to like 4 or 5 years later, $2,500 a month.
Oh, wow. Which
is not a lot of money, but I was living off of that and paying for college like in cash.
Yeah.
And so that was like super, super helpful for me. So we brought this into our marriage, and of course in marriage, like your whole lives collide.
Yeah.
Including finances too. Like we're the kinds of people that don't believe in keeping my money separate and your money separate, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, we don't. Yeah, we don't.
Okay. I feel like I'm the only one talking. You gotta jump in and say stuff.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, yeah, we don't. Basically when we got married, we pulled our bank accounts together. I'm under your name and stuff like that. And yeah, that's what we did.
Why do you think that's something that we valued? We haven't really talked about this too much, have we?
No, we haven't. I think because, like, in a marriage, like, you become one with everything. So, yeah, becoming one with your finances and sharing with what God has given you, you know, personally.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why it could be valuable is because a lot of times secrets are kept when it comes to finances.
True.
And I think this is what leads a lot of people to broken relationships. Is like, oh my goodness, I had no clue she was mismanaging our money, or I had no clue that he was spending all of our savings and all these different kinds of things. So keeping things together is the strategy that we've chosen.
Yeah.
And it's been working for us. 3 years later, we're debt free, which took a lot of work. Because in the 3 years that we've been married, I'm trying to think about this. We've moved to Ohio, then Philadelphia, then your parents' house, then here. We moved four times in 3 years. So that's like a lot of craziness. And you've had how many jobs in 3 years?
Through now counting 3.
Yeah. You've gone through 3 jobs. I've gone through my job. I quit my job. And now we're doing the YouTube thing. So it's kind of crazy that we're like so much change. And yet we were still able to make this work.
Yeah. It's getting hot
warm
here.
It is getting a little warm in here.
The sweater's itchy.
Here, let me turn on the AC real quick. Or not the AC, the fan.
Yeah. So that was really... Yeah, we just decided to share everything. And when we got married.
Yeah. Cool story, bro.
Cool story, bro.
Where were we? So we got married. How did we pay off debt? What was kind of the strategy?
Well, at first when we got married, I didn't have a job yet, so that was kind of like
that was a pain in the butt.
Crazy.
Hey, let me know if the fan is too loud, because I can always actually let me just do this. Let me lower the microphone. I'll do this. You guys will get to see the microphone.
Yeah.
That might be annoying, but it'll hear better.
But as a lot of you know who have student debt, like you have a 6-month grace period after you graduate to start paying off your debt. And so like, thank goodness for that, right? So pretty much took me 6 months to like start working and pass the boards and stuff. And
so for the first little while, I was the only one earning money.
you were the only one earning money. So we were like financially strapped.
That was pretty stressful, huh?
Yeah. But then I started working, and we were living in Philly at the time, and we were living in like a pretty cheap apartment, like $700 a month, which is pretty cheap. I don't know if you're from Indiana, that was probably pretty cheap there, but I don't know, I just chose that. Yeah, so it was really cheap, and we started budgeting then, like on a whiteboard, remember?
We literally had a whiteboard, which, do we have one down here?
No.
It's upstairs. We had a whiteboard where we would write down, okay, this is how much money we're gonna spend on this and that, and we tried the budgeting thing, and we didn't do it perfectly. I think there was a couple months where we like wrote it down on the board and then like didn't look at it again.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people go through that, but
yeah,
you know, we talk a lot about budgeting and the importance of budgeting. But it does make life simpler. It does make it easier to figure out where every dollar is supposed to go. We've been budgeting pretty like strictly
since moving here.
Yeah, last couple of months. How's that changed things for you?
Instead of writing it on a board, we use an app on our phones, which has been helpful because like if you just go to get gas, like you put it down on the phone on the app, and it's like pretty easy and quick. So it's just been more convenient, and yeah, it's been easier than the whiteboard thing, and yeah.
But how's it changed like the way that you approach money?
Just like we're both kind of spenders, so that was kind of a bad thing too. Like you spend money on gadgets, I spend money. I like shopping, I like clothes, so
yeah, I literally just went shopping today.
Yeah.
To upgrade the microphone a little bit because it was being a butthead. And
so like we're both spenders, so we kind of like realize that about ourselves. We're like, oh, we got a budget because, you know, it could easily get out of proportion and then get in credit card debt after we got debt free, you know.
When so growing up, my brother was always the saver and I was always the spender.
Yeah.
Like every time we had a birthday or like we had a graduation or something along those lines, like usually there was like gifts that come in from family or something like that, and I would always end up spending it like within the next day.
Yeah.
Jordan would always end up saving that, and my brother Jordan, he was able to pay for nursing school out of his own pocket because it was kind of the same story. Like my dad's like, oh, I'm not gonna help you. Like mom couldn't really help out too much. She was just a teacher or whatever. That wasn't kind of the paradigm that we worked under, and he was able to save up a bunch of money and end up paying off college. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
There's a verse that you wanted to bring up, wasn't there?
Oh, yeah, Psalm 37. 21?
Psalms 37. 37, let's go. 21. What was here we go. Psalms 37, 21.
It says, the wicked borroweth, and why are we in KJV?
You want me to switch it?
I don't like it.
Okay, here we go. English Standard Version. Okay. Sorry.
Psalm 37:21 says, the wicked borrows but does not pay back, but the righteous is generous and gives. I really like that because it's talking about the negative and the positive, like the wicked borrow and don't pay back. Like that's a duty to like your fellow man. Like we pay taxes. That's the duty to the government. Like Jesus even talks about paying taxes.
Yeah, render to Caesar like what is Caesar's.
Yeah. But then he also talks about rendering to God what is God, like paying tithe and stuff like that. But the righteous is generous and gives. Like God, when God chooses to bless godly people, I never see them like hoarding things. I always see them, you know, sponsoring things or like giving to those in need, and it's pretty cool. Like that's how we should live our lives. Yeah,
I like that a lot. That it's not just, hey, stay out of debt, but it's even like there's a bigger goal, and the goal is to be generous, to give, to be a blessing to other people.
Yeah.
And obviously you can't be a blessing to other people financially if you yourself and your family are in debt and you can't barely pay the bills and keep the lights on and things like that. So that's a struggle. That's actually been one of the major blessings of us getting out of debt, is that there's been less pressure on us as a family for me to be earning like tons and tons of money.
Yeah.
And because we're not in debt anymore, like I can really be pursuing YouTube and the ministry that we have online and stuff like that. And so like that's what's awesome about being debt free, is that you can actually follow God wherever he's calling you to be. And I think that's so important. You know, I like the worst case scenario for me would be like, oh, God's calling me, like let's say he wants us to be missionaries overseas, but we can't because we have so much debt that we can't actually commit. Am I boring you?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I went to bed at 2:30 last night because we got back late from a family vacation.
We were on family vacation the last weekend.
Yeah, I look tired right now. Sorry. Yeah.
I'm just saying that, like, that's what I love about being debt free, is that we can follow God wherever he calls, and whatever he wants us to do, we can do.
Yeah, I know, it's a beautiful thing. And it kind of just stresses me out though, because like the cost of living now is like so much. And we were like thinking, we were calculating like when we retire, in order to retire comfortably in like 30 years, you have to be like a $3 millionaire.
You have to be a multi-millionaire.
And like $1 million to me seems like a lot. Like, whoa, how could I ever save up that much money? So like starting like being wise with your money and starting to save now is a really good idea, because like kids cost a lot. If you want them to be educated, it costs a lot. Like it stresses me out just thinking about it, but you know,
it's intense.
Yeah,
I think that's like largely one of the main reasons why we don't have children at this point, is because
we don't have a lot of money saved up.
We're trying to figure that out. We are in the process of saving right now, trying to you know, just trying to get our life in order. So let's talk about saving money tips, tricks for people that are out there. Maybe they're in high school, they're in college right now, just graduated. What are some financial tips that you'd give to people?
Some financial tips.
I'll give one tip.
Okay.
One tip I would give is to have like a spending budget.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's so easy to go from one extreme where I just don't care about money and I just spend. And then like you hear the whole Dave Ramsey thing, or I need to save. And then you go to the opposite and just like, I can't have any fun and all I eat are rice and beans every day.
That's the thing, that when you are going to see a counselor, she's just like, why do you have to be on such a strict budget? She was talking to both of us. Like,
that's true.
Because we were wanting to pay like $3,000 a month towards student loans. That's a lot of money. Like, that's like 2/3 of what we earned. So like, she was like, you know, you guys aren't living, you know, happily enough if you're saving that much. You know?
I just forgot about that. Okay, so remember? What Emily's referring to is, you guys have heard, a couple years ago, I went through like a pretty serious season of depression. And we went to counseling and we got some professional help. And one of the things that was pointed out in that is like, hey, you guys are like a little too crazy with the money thing. Because I had this whole goal of when we got married, I wanted to
pay it off in a year.
I wanted to be debt free in 12 months and celebrate our 1-year anniversary being debt free. Yeah. And so I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I put a lot of pressure on us as a family to try and make things work.
Yeah.
You need to keep scooting back in. Do you not see yourself at the edge of the screen?
Okay. How's that?
That's better.
Okay. Yeah, so it's kind of...
No, it's not better.
Well, because I need to lean back. I can't. There we go.
That's exactly how I had positioned the chair at the beginning of this.
Okay. So...
I don't want this blocking your face.
What were we talking about?
We're talking about me being depressed because I was putting too much pressure on us.
Yeah, and so I was kind of depressed too, because I'm like, ooh, we can't ever like go to the movies or like eat out ever, or, you know, go on a vacation or anything. Yeah.
So my tip is to actually have a spending budget.
Yeah.
Allocate a reasonable amount of money and say, hey, this amount of money I can spend on whatever. If it's on, for me, it's like technology and toys. For you, it's...
probably like clothes and shopping and household items.
And chocolate.
Yeah.
Pumpkin spice nowadays.
Whatever. Anyways. Yeah.
So like that's my tip. Is so that way you can like relax a little bit.
Yeah.
And not go from like, oh, I'm being super irresponsible to being I'm super anal that I can't even spend 1 penny without feeling
like,
guilty.
For me, if I was like that, say you're on like a really strict diet and you can like
this direction.
Sorry.
In.
And say you're on a really strict diet, which, you know, if you can like not eat sugar for a whole month, good for you. But like for me, I would go crazy. Like I would do it well for 3 days and then I'd be like, sugar! And then like I'd have to like, so like, you know, having balance I think is good.
Okay.
Because that's how it'd be like if I couldn't spend any money on anything, like, oh, it'd be hard.
Yeah. All right, so that's my tip. What's something that you would give to someone?
I think like having a longer goal in mind, like what you want your life to look at after college. And if you want to be in a lot of debt, then you're gonna not care about it, and you're gonna go on all those Europe vacations and stuff like that. So like having a long-term goal in mind, like, oh, I want to only be this much in debt after graduate school. Like if you have to go to graduate school.
Is that something that you actually thought about when you were in college?
I did it, and I wish I would have.
That's something I thought about a lot.
Yeah.
I always thought about like the future. I was like, I do not want to enter marriage in debt.
Yeah.
Like from my half of the equation. Like I always thought like I want to get married at some point in time. I want to make sure that I am like not making the marriage harder than it needs to be. So I like that's actually what kept me from spending more and more and more money.
Yeah.
Is realizing, no, I want to get married someday. And I don't want to start that off on the wrong foot.
But I think like God really blesses, because even though I came into the marriage with debt, like I got into debt to get a good degree and a good job. Like sometimes you have to go into debt to be a doctor, and that's what God's calling you to do, but it's super expensive. And so like you're gonna pay it off eventually. And like now I have, you know, a stable job. I'm going to start a new job, and he can do his ministry because I have a stable job, because I went to graduate school, type of a thing.
It's true.
Because my debt's paid off now too. So it's like thinking about it in the positive. Like sometimes you need to go into a little debt if you know.
So you're talking about thinking about what you want the future to look like. So
yeah,
we're debt free, but we're still saving. What do you want the future to look like?
I don't know, because I don't know if like God has kids for us.
Just think, like just dreaming. Like I don't know. Like I've never actually asked you this question. What do you think about it? What do you want the future to look like from a financial perspective too?
Oh, I don't know. Like I'd like a house, like not like super fancy house. But
a house, okay.
Like having a house, but then again, like I think of how like fluctuating your life is. Like, oh, we could be living here next year. Oh, we could be missionaries next year. I'm like, should we really buy a house if we're? But then, like, if
we need a Sprinter
if you're
van.
renting, then your money goes into the hole with rent. That's what we're doing right now. So it's like, what's the wise thing if you don't want to get a house?
Is to buy a Sprinter van and live out of the van.
We have a dog though.
That's okay. So my what I want to do. This isn't something that Emily and I agree with yet. I'm working on you.
Okay.
I would love to live out of like a Sprinter van. Like you guys have ever seen like those people on YouTube or Instagram, like the van life thing? I would love to do that and travel kind of like the country and work out of my van, because I could do that online and stuff. But that makes your life a little bit harder with your jobs.
Yeah, it would. And just like so tiny space. And I'm not a minimalist. And I have a big
too much
closet.
stuff.
Yeah.
That's another tip, is limiting how much stuff you get.
Yeah.
It's so easy in today's society to like just keep buying things.
Yeah, I think for me, like it'd be good to like shift to a minimalist mindset, even though it's like really hard for me.
Yeah, have you guys ever seen that documentary on Netflix, The Minimalists? Like one strategy that I've seen people implement with minimalism is like, okay, I will own X number of things, and anytime I want to buy something new, I have to get rid of something old, and so that way you're not like accumulating a lot of stuff.
And I think that opened my eyes up to that documentary is like these people didn't like just have like poor quality things, like they had good quality things. Like, because I'm like
minimalism doesn't mean poor.
I'm like my dad always said to me, like, you have a champagne taste with a beer pocketbook. Like, I've always liked the finer things of life. Like, you know,
do have expensive taste.
Yeah, I have expensive taste. I'm just gonna say that. I'm gonna be honest, because like good quality. Anyways, but like, so the thing that it's gonna last you longer. But the thing that the minimalist thing documentary pointed out is that like they had nice things that would last them a long time, but they had a few of them.
You know, that's actually something that some people believe. That's how Jesus lived his life too.
Nice things, but
that Jesus wasn't afraid to have like nice things, but he didn't have a lot. He didn't have like extravagant amounts. So like even when Jesus died on the cross, one of the things that's mentioned in the Gospels is that the soldiers who were crucifying Jesus end up gambling for his clothes. And you think about it, if it was low quality, like trash clothing, why would they want it?
True, like with holes and rips. And
if it was just like terrible. But the reason why they wanted it is because what Jesus had was nice.
That was really cool. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus probably had some style, like.
You think so?
With the beard and like. Just kidding.
Oh yeah.
Anyways,
and his blonde hair and blue eyes.
Yeah. No.
No.
No, I'm just kidding. But Jesus like knew it was happening.
Yeah.
Anyways, but he wasn't excessive, so like, yeah.
So do you feel like you're fitting into that model?
Not right now. I
what would it take for you to get to that point?
I think if we lived in a van, it would help me.
Yeah, because then you have to really choose what you want to keep and what you don't want to keep.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect at this by any stretch of the imagination. I have too much stuff too, but I feel like I'm closer to that ideal.
And it's like crazy because like I'm probably in the middle of the spectrum. Then I have people in my family, older generations, who like are more like hoarders, and like
clutter.
Some people just help other people in my family move out of their house, and it was like so much stuff, like 90 sweaters and 100 pairs of shoes that were collected over time. Yeah. And it like puts burdens on like your other family who need to help move you out at your old age, you know. So it's like
one thing that I thought a lot about from that documentary, and even from the instances that you're just sharing about your family, was like what really is valuable in life. I think one of the great things about like consumerism and capitalism is that like we can have nice things and it's kind of like fun to enjoy those kinds of things, but there's like a huge negative in that so often we think that buying things will make us happier.
Yeah, I've definitely fallen prone to that. Like, I think the thing for me is I get sucked into ads online because, like, I shop online.
You're the worst with marketing.
Facebook and Instagram are horrible because, like, if you click on one thing online, like at a store, it will pop up for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks after you click it for 1 second. And so, like, I see that item that I looked at.
And every day you're like, I need it.
It's like, oh my word. Like, it's so bad. Like, I just need to go on a social media fast and do that. Because it's just like, that's where I get trapped the most is online stuff. It's not even going to a store. It's like, oh, that stuff online. Because you're on Facebook, you're on social media. And it just pops up all the time.
The joke for us is when we drive past like Best Buy or an Apple store, like I point, like, I need it. I don't know why, but I want it. I need it.
That's a good thing to think about. If anyone knows any software to install on your devices to not have ads so much, like let me know because I struggle with that a lot. Like, it'd be nice.
Getting a dumb phone.
Getting a dumb phone. But that'd be nice to just like not have.
That would be nice.
Popping up all the time.
So what I was saying though was I appreciated the documentary and I appreciated like the reflections of when your Nana passed away. Just like seeing how much stuff.
My grandma.
Sorry, grandma.
Yeah.
I mean,
sorry.
I don't know the different terms.
Maybe.
Was like, why do we spend so much effort getting stuff? Like I remember hearing we spend money we don't have to buy things we don't need to impress people we don't even like.
Yeah.
I was like, dang, like that's so good.
True.
Like we spend money we don't have, we go into debt to buy things we don't need. Do I really need like a sweater number 50 or whatever the case is to impress people that we don't really even like or care about? Like who cares if the stranger that sees me walking down the street is like, oh dang, Justin's got style. Those are nice shoes. Like who cares? Because the people that actually matter in life, do they care?
Yeah.
I mean, I can actually ask you because I wear a plain t-shirt almost every single day now for like the last 6 months, 7 months. No, what month is it now? Is it September already? The last 8 months, I've basically only been wearing blank t-shirts.
Good for you.
Do you care? Does that make you love me less?
For sometimes I'm just like, can you wear something else besides a t-shirt? Because it looks so boring sometimes. I don't know. Huh?
That comment's funny. It says, damn, Asian boy making some real good sense now.
Why does it say that?
I don't know. This is what Mark said. But that was kind of funny.
Yeah. So, yeah. What were we talking about?
I was talking about like consumerism. Why do we spend why do we believe the lie that we need things to be happy? That's what to me was so cool about the Minimalist documentary, because it was like, I don't need that kind of stuff. And if I don't really need those kinds of things, I could be spending my money somewhere else that actually does bring happiness and joy. And so for me, it was kind of like a values gut check. Like, Justin, bam, like what do you believe that truly makes you happy? Like, let me ask you, what are things that you believe like actually makes life better and more valuable? What are the kinds of things?
I think like knowing that I helped someone in life, like, you know, I was an encourager to them or a mentor, that is valuable to me, you know, but I tend to get bogged down by those Facebook ads, and I think that
and you buy chocolate.
Yeah, will make me more happier. Buying that new sweater will make me more happy, because I think girls, and you can call me out girls, like girls want to dress up to impress girls. Like someone was just saying that a couple weeks ago, like we don't, because like girls, like we compare all the time.
You're saying girls buy, or girls care about makeup and fashion mainly to impress other girls, not even the other guys. Not even
like you as much. Like
that's true. I mean, you'll get a haircut half the time, and I'm like, you don't even notice. Did you get one?
Yeah. Like, and like you even tell me on occasion, like, oh, I'd like to go shopping with you because I want to pick out the things that I like to see you wear. But like for me, like I'm just like, I don't think I like the things that you pick out for me. Like, ugh, like I don't know. It's funny.
So if we could like see through the lie that things make us happier, that's one strategy to help us stay debt free and pay off college loans and things like that.
Yeah.
Like we always like do the thought experiment, like, oh, if you won the lottery, what would you do with all the money?
Yeah.
Hardly anyone ever talks about like, oh, I'm just gonna buy this or that.
Yeah. I mean, unless they were like not of a God perspective.
I guess that's true.
They would buy like a mansion probably. Yeah. Anyways, but yeah. Together like the Proverbs 31 women. Yeah. No, I really like that. Like I think women should dress like
so Aurora is saying you just look into the camera, no one knows what you're referring to.
Sorry. Aurora was saying be well put together like a Proverbs.
Read the comment.
She just said, I just want to be well put together like a Proverbs 31 woman. Like, I really like that. Like, I think that women should be, because, like, to me, if I see people who are in the olden days, like, very conservative and wearing, like, skirts down to the floor, like, that's distracting to me. So, like, keeping up with certain trends, but not so much that it's, that it's an idol and dressing modestly. And tastefully, I think that's what people should do. Yeah. What do you think about that? Does that ever distract you when you see like someone with super high fashion or someone with super like back in the day fashion?
I just think it's weird.
Yeah. I don't know.
Like when you see,
I think both can be
like
distracting.
Amish people or people dressed like a stereotypical Amish type of person.
Yeah, I mean, because it's, not calling it Amish people, but more like conservative people in the church that we go to, you know, if I ever saw.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, like just dressing modestly and up to date is better.
Yeah. So where are we going with this?
Anyways, where are we going?
We're talking about debt-free living and paying off college loans. So one tip was to like, I guess.
I wanted to say something.
Okay, good.
What I was going with that is like, what you're wearing and the way you live your life, is that a distraction to other people? You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be that way.
Sorry, say it again. I totally blanked out because I was reading a comment.
Like, if you're wearing, like, super high fashion and, like, always have the newest things, like, is that going to be a distraction to people? Like, are they going to look at that instead of your character and, you know, like, those types of things? So, the way you're dressing and the way you're living your life, is that distracting other people and it pulling you towards God? Or is it kind of, yeah. So that's kind of what I say. I don't know. That's where I was going with my thoughts.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
I saw a comment. God's Original says, I heard this somewhere. Money doesn't make you happy. It just makes you comfortable while you're miserable. What do you think about that? Money doesn't make you happy. It just makes you comfortable while you're miserable.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, I think you need to have money to, you know, provide for your basic needs for sure, so you can be of good service to God. But too much money and not used wisely can get you into trouble. Yeah, and make you miserable. Yeah, like you hear all those stories about like Hollywood stars who have like all the money in the world, but yet they're miserable. You know.
Yeah, I think money is like a magnifying glass.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a magnifying glass. If you are a miserable person and you get tons of money,
yeah,
you're just going to be more miserable. And it's just going to amplify that times 10. If you're a happy person with simple things and you get more money, you're just going to be a little bit more happy. I think it exacerbates what already is there.
Yeah.
Because like you could always end up like there's this, you're always going to end up chasing the next thing.
Yeah. For sure.
Whether it's like, now that I've got the Lamborghini, now I really need is
the boat or the yacht or
whatever the thing is. Yeah. And it's just like always this striving for more, but never being content with what God has given.
And like, it's like that. It's like a sugar high. Like you're content for those 2 hours or maybe 2 weeks after you get that big item, and then you're gonna want the next thing.
Yeah, in economics, there's this thing called the law of diminishing returns. Have you ever heard of that before?
No.
So imagine you're super hungry right now. Like, what would you, if you could have any snack, no guilt, what would your snack be right now?
Probably like ice cream with a warm cookie.
Okay, so let's say I give you ice cream with a warm cookie. On a scale from 1 to 10, how happy are you after you eat it?
Probably like 10.
Like a 10. Okay, yeah. So then let's say that's the first one. 10 minutes later, I bring you another cookie and another thing of ice cream and I make you eat it again. How happy are you after the second serving?
Not as happy.
Like 1 to 10.
Like an 8, 7.
Let's say I bring you a third serving and a fourth serving and a fifth serving.
Gonna throw it up.
And every time I force you to eat it, right?
Yeah.
Every time you get more, guess what happens? Your happiness, the amount of happiness that you gain from it diminishes. This is what's called the law of diminishing returns. So money does make you happy if you have $0 and then you make $10,000. Like that actually makes a big difference. You can go out on a nice date with your loved one. You can maybe upgrade your car a little bit, or like whatever, like little necessities. Like that actually increases your happiness by a lot. But the difference between like say from 0 to 10,000, and then from 10,000 to like say 50,000, and then 50 to 100, and then so on and so forth. The more money you get, the less it actually makes an impact in your life. Because at some point you have all the things that you already need.
Yeah. But some people think they need more still.
So yeah, so my point is it that you think you're going to be happy by getting stuff, it's a lie.
Yeah.
Because every time you get something, you're going to be less and less happy. And you're just going to be in this continuous cycle of, I need to get more things in order for me to be happy, never addressing the true problem. And the problem is that you're trying to fill a hole in your heart that was never meant to be filled by things.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Consumerism, yeah.
Yeah. Juan is saying, it is said that where you spend most of your money at is where your heart is.
Yeah.
That's Jesus said, right?
So true, yeah.
Well, how do you see that for yourself?
Well, I mean, I think it goes with anything in life. Like, where you spend your time is where your heart is. Like, if you're spending time doing all these negative things, like, that's where your mind is going to be. That's where your heart's going to be. If you're going to spend your money, like, with consuming, that's where your heart is. Yeah, I believe that.
So for me, or what I think of immediately when I think of where I put my time, maybe not so much my money, but my time, is just like screwing around playing video games or watching Netflix or YouTube.
Yeah.
That's how I spend a lot of my time, and it's just like wasted time. That would be the area, like, man, I should re-examine that. I should check that and make sure that my priorities are lined up. For you, what is that for you?
I think it's my time as well, like being disciplined with it.
How do you spend your time now in a negative sense?
I think like for me, like especially those days where I'm not faithful in my time with God, like I start to get more stressed out and more things pile up on my plate. Then at the end of the day, I like feel exhausted and I don't have time for you or anyone else, and I want to just watch TV, like because I'm exhausted because I haven't been relying on God's power that day. So it's like having a disciplined life with God as your source.
Yeah, we were hanging out with Savannah the other weekend, and she wakes up at 4 a.m. every day because she has to work. She has to work at Chick-fil-A in the morning, so I was like, dang, that's intense.
Yeah.
But that kind of discipline, that's what you feel like you'd want to upgrade in your life.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a time thing.
Definitely a time thing.
Yeah.
Good points. Good points. Let's see what else. Looking through you guys' live stream comments. We haven't been doing too much of that, but let's go ahead and pull that up right now. Let us know what you guys are thinking, or got any questions for us, let us know. Nick C's quick question: NIV or NKJV? What do you like?
I usually use like ESV or NIV.
Yeah, me too. I like the ESV the most.
Yeah.
Do we invest? Luis is asking.
Oh, we don't have enough money to invest yet. We're starting saving right now. So we have to save some first.
We invest in the kingdom of God.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
The pay isn't great, but the retirement benefits are awesome.
Yeah, we like follow a lot of the Dave Ramsey principles. If you guys haven't listened to his podcasts or gone through Financial Peace, it's really good to do.
Mm-hmm.
I went through it when I was a senior in high school, but I didn't really think about it. I wasn't really mature enough yet to apply those principles, but we've kind of gone through some things together now, married, and it's just been really helpful. And he says like to invest your money into like mutual funds more and things like that.
So there's a video you guys should search online, but basically the idea is that if you invest about $500 a month, which isn't a crazy amount of money, right? 500 is very reasonable once you have a decent paying job. $500 a month, you could end up retiring with like a couple $1 million.
Which is what you need to.
Which is what you need nowadays to retire with inflation and the rising cost of everything in life.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, no, we're actually not investing yet because we are in the process of saving up for our emergency fund.
Yeah.
One of the strategies that he suggests is to do like a 3 to 6 month emergency fund in the event that someone gets drastically sick or everyone loses their jobs or something along those lines. And so that's kind of what we've been focusing on now. We're hoping to start the investing cycle. I'm hoping, I don't know when you're thinking of, I'm hoping to start the investing cycle hopefully by towards the beginning of next year.
How much money do we need to start investing? Like 10K or what?
No, it's just our emergency fund.
Oh.
Whatever 3 to 6 months of expenses would be. For us, it's maybe $5,000 to $10,000 would be a healthy number for us to have in the bank for an emergency.
And then the additional amount we start investing.
And then basically, once that fund gets filled up, then everything else goes straight to savings.
With investing.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, investing.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Nick says, I saw y'all on Savannah Louie's comment section. I was creeping on you. Savannah's awesome. By the way, Savannah just released a new patron account, and we are actually her first patrons.
Oh, so
yeah,
nice.
We supported her. So if you guys watch Savannah, go check her out.
Check it. She's pretty cool.
God's Original says, I'm going to a Dave Ramsey class tomorrow. Awesome. Oh, cool. That's super cool.
Yeah. He's been really good.
I've never actually, this is not true. I've taken it's like a 10-week session. I've only done like the first 2 weeks in person. And after that, I was just like, this takes too long. I'll just read the book.
Yeah. Interesting. You like to listen to his podcast, though.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I listen to his podcast and his YouTube channel a lot. All right. Here's a question from Mark. What is y'all's favorite biblical figure? Obviously, after the man, the G, the legend, Jesus Christ.
The G.
The G.
The original, the OG.
The OG, as John and Aaron always say, God's the OG, the only God. Who's your favorite Bible character?
I think mine is from the Old Testament, Joseph.
Why Joseph?
Because, he was rock solid in his faith. I feel like a lot of these Bible characters, we see, their sins, their downfalls. Joseph, didn't really have any. Well, he got mad at his brothers. I don't know. But he was just, rock solid. And, he just trusted in God profoundly. So, yeah.
I'm gonna share mine, and then I'm gonna share an observation that I just thought about. What? For me, it's the demon-possessed man in the Gospels.
Yes, you said.
The guy who was spending all night in the catacombs, had chains and cutting himself and things like that. And I like him primarily because of the transformation that we see in his life.
Yeah.
He goes from all the way one end of the spectrum, meets Jesus, and his life is completely transformed.
Yeah.
So here's my observation. Is it interesting that given our personalities, I pick like the most dramatic person available, and you pick like the closest to perfection that could possibly be.
Yeah, that is funny.
Because you're like the perfectionist out of the two of us.
Yeah.
And I'm very dramatic when it comes to those kinds of things.
Yeah, like good old Joe.
Good old Joe.
Joe! I want to meet you, Joe. No, it's like, and then he became like, because he was faithful to God, he became super powerful and like an amazing influence to help other people in Egypt. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, like God, because you're faithful, God blesses you. So I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah. Andrew's asking a question. What is the most encouraging book in the Bible for you guys? Mine is Philippians and Colossians. They lit.
They lit. Philippians and Colossians.
What's your favorite book of the Bible?
I like Ephesians and James from the New Testament because James is like super practical. It's like a
You've
short
been watching
book.
my YouTube videos, haven't you? I always say James.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And from the Old Testament, probably Psalms because it's so full of like goodness of God in it. Yeah.
I'd actually have to say Psalms right now. I've been spending the majority of my devotional reading time in the book of Psalms lately.
Yeah.
It's good.
That's good.
It's different. It's much more emotional than I care for, to be honest.
Yeah, this are not emotional.
But that might be good for me to be reading and to learning a little bit more about it. So
Yeah.
Juan says Peter is interesting because of his temper and zeal. Someone else is saying that they like the book of Job because of his faithfulness. Oh, here's a question. Justin and Emily, if you could tell your younger self anything, what would it be?
That's good.
What would you tell your younger self? Okay, let's narrow it down so it's easier. Let's say, what would you tell yourself if you were in high school? That makes it simpler than just younger self.
High school would be like find your identity in Christ first, because I was like trying to be someone I wasn't supposed to be.
You were just telling me last night how you like hung out with the spiritual kids. What do you mean?
Well, not all of high school. Yeah.
Just for part of it?
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, that's what I probably tell myself.
Fine.
What would you tell yourself?
So, hold on. Unpack that for me a little bit more.
Just because like I was struggling with identity a lot in high school, and like I've always struggled with it actually, but mostly in high school, just because I don't know, like going through teenage years and guy problems and boy issues and I don't know, it's just like it was a lot, and just I was trying to chase after things and be someone that I wasn't. God didn't intend me for me to be.
Help me understand what you mean by identity, because a lot of times people say, oh, you know, you got to know who your identity is in Jesus, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you guys already understand this, let me know, but for me, I've always been like, what does that actually mean? Like, I get that that's a thing that Christians say.
Yeah.
It's a catchphrase. It's something that's
So
just
it's hard
said a lot,
to-
but what does that actually mean?
It's hard to describe because I was trying to be negative things, like the prettiest person in school, like being the skinniest and all that stuff, and that led me down to like eating disorders and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't spending time with God. And I think like your identity in Christ is just learning from Him what He wants in your life and spending that time with Him. Yeah. It's hard to explain like in one sentence, but come back to me later on that. Anyways, you go. I don't know, like
What's going on with this shirt? Why are there holes in your shirt?
because it's old.
It's an old
I need to
shirt.
throw away some stuff, obviously, and be more minimalistic.
The advice I would give my high school self is that there is more to life than this.
Yeah.
That'd be my advice. In high school, for me, things were like really, how would I describe this? High school was not my favorite season of life by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, I enjoyed my friends. I enjoyed like sports, and a few things here or there, but by and large, I did not enjoy high school. Ronan's just...
Yeah. Do you want to come down?
Come here, Ronan. Come say hi to everyone. You got to get one of the... Yeah, see, now he's coming.
What, the treats? Treats?
Sorry, hold on. Ronan, come here.
This is our baby, fur baby.
Oh, there's
Hey,
Ronan.
there's a treat. There's a treat. Good boy.
Say hi, Ronnie. Okay, so high school for me was like, I was really searching and wandering and trying to figure out what was the point of life and how could I be happy. And I was constantly like just feeling disappointed with what life had to offer. And so for many years, I was like, man, life is pointless. There's no point to it. There's nothing that can actually bring me meaning and fulfillment. And so for me, I would give my advice to you, Justin, what you're experiencing is not the whole story. There's something deeper. There's something more. There's something more meaningful that's out there. Yeah. And obviously the point would be that's Jesus.
Yeah.
So that'd be my advice.
That'd be your advice. Cool.
Ernie's asking, what's your favorite little unknown secret about the Bible?
Little unknown secret.
I'm looking mine up to find you guys, show you guys. I have one. Do you got one?
Unknown secret. I'm trying to think.
Well, excuse me.
I don't know if like you guys know these things. I don't know if it's unknown.
Well, I mean, just give it a shot.
Yeah.
So, my favorite unknown hidden gem that most people don't know about the Bible is actually in the story of David and Goliath. Yeah. I always had a problem with the story of David and Goliath because I always felt like David didn't actually have faith.
Really? Why?
Am I boring you again?
Sorry. Why?
Okay, so, you know, David, obviously there's an element of faith. David is going to go fight the giant when no one else wants to. That's an element of faith. But then I always thought, like, he goes into the brook and he gets, how many stones does he get?
5.
Why did he get 5?
Because he thought he'd miss on the first
That's always what I thought. I was like, oh, okay, David's like, oh, I better get 5 shots because if I miss the first one, I don't want to die.
Yeah.
And I always thought like, oh, David had no faith. David was like afraid. I mean, obviously he did have faith, but he didn't have enough faith. And I later learned in the book of, let me see if I can pull this up on the screen for you guys. In the book of 1 Chronicles chapter 20, that Goliath actually was only one. How do I make this the right size? Oh, that's not gonna work. I'm trying to make it fit on your guys' screen. Oh, anyways, I'll just make it quick. The point is that Goliath was actually one of 5 giants. There was several other, let me show you, in the brother of Goliath. So Goliath actually had 4 other brothers, and they were all giants. So David grabbing 5 stones was not a statement of doubt. Oh, I might miss, therefore I need multiple shots. But it was a statement of confidence saying, not only will I take down Goliath, but I'm actually also going to take down all 4 of his brothers as well. So it says the brother of Goliath, the Gittite, the shaft of whose spear was like a weaver's beam. There was war against on Gath. There was a man of great stature who had, oh, I can't see this, 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot, 24. This guy had 6 fingers and 6 toes on each hand. So I thought that was super cool. It's that, hey, listen, David actually had crazy faith. And it made all the more sense when I found that passage.
That's really interesting.
Do you have a gem or a secret of the Bible?
Well, I don't know. I was just listening to like a podcast last night about identity in Christ, actually. So this is kind of a cool thing.
Tell me all about
it. So like when Jacob got his new identity in Christ, like God renamed him Israel because he's like, you know, you're not who you were, but I'm going to rename you and give you all these amazing things. So do you know what happened in that point? Like God gave him a limp on his hip. And like the pastor was saying, like the reason why God gave him a limp on his hip is because like before that point, like Jacob had run from everything. Like he ran from all his problems with Esau. Like he tried to like cover things up and, you know, he just run from everything. And God was like, I'm not going to have you run from your problems anymore. Like all the biggest giants in the Bible, like they had a limp. They had an issue where they needed to rely on God with that thing. Or else they wouldn't have needed God because they wouldn't have had a limp. Does that make sense? So I thought that was kind of cool. like God gave him a physical limp to stop running and kind of like remind him you can't run from your problems. Anyways,
Yeah.
so I just thought that was cool.
There you go. Great question, Ernie. Thank you for asking that. James Park and Rec TV Ministry says, "This is the message I need right here. Thank you." Awesome. Which part, James? Was it Emily's part? I don't know. Let us know. Let's see. Any other comments or questions? Nick is asking a question. I have a question. When do you all usually record videos? After work? Well, today is your day off, so
Yeah.
we decided to come online together. But for me, it's usually during the day because YouTube is kind of my work.
Yeah.
So just during the day. It just depends.
Yeah.
Hi, Andrew. Andrew says hi, Emily and Justin.
Hi.
Ernie, do you got a gem? You were the one that asked the question about gems in the Bible, commonly unknown things. If you got one, do share it in the comment section. Let us know. Tank is asking, oh, this is kind of a deeper question. What do you all feel? I'm feeling like a lot of our viewers today are from the South. So much y'all going on.
Y'all.
What do y'all feel has caused the falling away from God here in North America and worldwide?
Whew. Falling away from God. Like, I think there's always been falling away from God in every generation, in every,
It's true.
you know, but it's just, I think it's more apparent now because we have ways to view things like TV and like all these horrible things that are happening in the world, like Hollywood, and it's like there's always been sin, there's always been people falling away, there's always been Babylon, so, you know, so-called Babylon. It's just more easier to see now.
So you're saying that there's not actually an increase in falling away, it's just more televised now? Is that what you're trying to say?
I mean, I do think that like things are getting worse. I don't know, like with like all the school shootings and more of that crazy stuff happening that is televised. Like I do think, you know, it says like in the end times there'll be more destruction and wars and rumors of wars and all that stuff. So I do think that it's probably more than back in the day, but I don't know. Why do you think so much?
I think that part of it has to do with simple prosperity. What is Ronan eating? Ronan? Okay.
Oh, pine cone.
Pine cone, sorry. He's chewing on stuff. I want to make sure he's not
Popeyes.
chewing on anything. Good job. Keep going.
You good?
Keep eating.
He was looking at us like, what did you make me do
Sorry.
that for?
So for me, I think it actually has to do with like prosperity. I think in times of difficulty, we actually turn to God. A lot of people will think things like, oh, tragedy and, you know, terrible things in life cause us to run away from God. But I actually think it's the opposite. I think that in times of difficulty, we actually run towards God, not away from God. Does that make sense? Like, you know, when you lose someone in your life, that's when a lot of times people come running to God, asking questions. God, why did you let this happen? What's the story?
Yeah.
And so I think in America, we've experienced a large time of prosperity and just like our generation hasn't had to go through anything super serious.
Yeah.
Like the Depression was like a massive thing, you know, in previous generations.
We might
Probably-
have to. We don't know that.
We may have to eventually, but I think part of it. So I'll give you an example. Probably one of the biggest things that we experienced was September 11.
Yeah.
I remember reading a website. One of the websites said that the day after September 11 was a Sunday.
Yeah.
Or no, that's not true. The weekend after September 11 took place, church attendance doubled.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Because in times of adversity, people
Yeah.
are looking, God, where are you? What's the answer?
Yeah.
How do I figure these things out? And the Bible actually kind of makes this point too. I want to try and show you guys. Give me a second. Give me this. I got to edit because it's cutting off some of the text. I got to figure out how to do this properly. Let's cut off. Let's go here. 0. There's a verse in Deuteronomy. There we go. That works. Deuteronomy chapter 8 and verse 11 says, "Take care lest you forget the Lord your God by not keeping his commandments and his rules and his statutes which I command to you today. Lest when you've been eaten and are full and have built good houses and live in them, and when your herds and flocks multiply, your silver and gold is multiplied, so that all that you have is multiplied, then your heart be lifted up, and you forget the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery." And it goes on to continue and all these different things. But he's basically saying, be careful, because there's gonna be a time that comes when you're gonna have all the food you could want. You're gonna have your houses. You're gonna live peacefully. Your herds and your flocks are gonna multiply. You're gonna have all the money that you could need. The temptation comes that you forget God in that moment.
Yeah.
When you're walking through the Red Sea and the Egyptians are chasing you, guess who you call out to?
God.
You call it to God. Yeah. But when things are going easy, it's different. And so I think that, Satan has kind of gone more crafty with how he attacks the church now. It used to be, like in the past, that he would actually like try and kill Christians, or they would be persecuted, or like things like that. And generally speaking, what we saw was that the faith would actually be strengthened for a lot of people because they're drawn towards God in those moments.
Yeah.
But in times of prosperity, we forget God.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would attribute it to in America and a lot of first world countries. Like, we've gotten so comfortable.
Yeah.
But, I can just get anything I want. I don't need to. Why should I rely on God?
Yeah.
And we forget him. That's my opinion. Sure. What do you think?
Satan's crafty.
What do you think about that?
I think that's true, yeah.
Let's see. Andrew's asking, Mark, where are you at? Andrew, I put Mark in timeout because he was cursing, which is something I can do online. It's kind of cool. One of the people in the live chat was cursing a bunch, and I put him in timeout, where he's unable to talk in chat for 5 minutes.
What?
Isn't that kind of interesting?
That's crazy.
Just yesterday, we were hanging out with your family, and I put your little nephew in timeout.
Oh, you did?
Sat him on my lap. Held him securely. He wasn't supposed to do anything for a couple of minutes. Let's see.
I'm getting.
Huh?
Get water soon.
Go get water. Oh, someone was asking how your nose is doing, because people were talking about like, oh, Emily always seems like she's sick. I was like, oh, actually has got some nose issues.
Allergies like crazy, and it's not good right now because I'm in a closed room with a dog.
Yeah, no fun.
And I just feel itchy. Like I need to take a shower soon.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, Juan, thank you so much. Juan just gave us a $20 super chat.
Ooh, thanks, Juan.
Thanks, Juan. That's awesome. You didn't have any comments, or you say love you guys, God bless, and appreciate that, Juan. For those of you guys who are watching super chat, which is what Juan just did, you see in the live chat, it's like, actually I could show you that orange thing. It's a way to highlight your comments if you have a question or something like that. But more than that, it's just a way to support the channel. So Juan, thank you so much, dude. Appreciate that. That's super generous of you. You definitely don't have to do that. The live streams and the content usually is just free, or it's sponsored by something else. But today's episode is sponsored by Juan. You the man, Juan. Thank you so much. Juan, you an OG. Yeah, exactly. Studying the Bible is so difficult, Angeli says. Yeah, Angeli, I agree. Especially if you're starting off, studying the Bible can be super difficult. Could you be louder? Here, I'll bring the microphone over here while Emily's gone. I can hide behind the microphone. Actually, let me do this. Studying the Bible can be very difficult. One of the things that I'm trying to do is to work on doing devotionals. So like every month, or not every month, maybe every couple months, I want to do like a 1 or 2 week, too loud, sorry about that. Every couple months, I want to do like a devotional series with you guys where we do like a private community Facebook group type of a thing. And I say, hey, this is where we're going to be studying. We're going to be studying the book of John for the next month, or whatever the case is. study these chapters. Here are some of the questions I want you to be answering, and then we'll like study it together. So that's something I want to be working on moving forward. You doing okay?
No, I just need to go. I don't know. Like wanting like pho tonight or something.
Want some pho? Well, since Juan gave us a super chat, maybe we can go do a little date.
Up to you. Anyways.
Alrighty. Well, let's see how long is ours. We got a couple more minutes. Pray for Emily. Yeah, thank you, Martina.
Thank you.
That's very nice of you.
Yeah, it's been this whole year of like not knowing
Hold
what's going on.
Hold on. Let me fix this real quick. Now that you're back.
Like I pretty much know for sure it's like allergies, but y'all know like we're trying to save money and like health insurance is super expensive. Like I basically started a new job and they gave me like this portfolio of all the healthcare plans I could choose from. Like what we're paying for now we have Christian Healthcare Ministries, which is like not too much per month premium payment, and like even the lowest plan for my new job we'd have to pay more for our healthcare, and so it's like frustrating with like healthcare costs.
Should go move to Canada.
Yeah.
Get free healthcare.
Anyways, so like even I think it's allergies for sure, but like even if I did have like healthcare with my new job, it would cover like allergy testing and all that stuff. So we're gonna have to pay out of pocket for that anyway. But gonna get it done soon because I'm pretty sure it's allergies because you know I walk in the house and I start sneezing or start getting stuffy. I think it's indoor allergies. So, anyways,
we just spent the weekend at a lake house.
Yeah.
Did you have allergies there?
Not as much because we were more in nature and outdoors and stuff. And
yeah, that's true. All right, maybe we take one or two more questions and then we'll release Emily so she can take a shower, flush out your sinuses and stuff like that. Here's a question from Ruben Fernandez. Why are our youth so inactive?
That's a good question. I kind of want to put part of the blame on like social media.
Ooh. As we're watching this on YouTube. Okay, yeah. Why social media?
Like for me, like in high school, I didn't have a smartphone and like I didn't have all these social media things, and I like actually talked to people more and like hung out with people. I know like people do that now, but I feel like especially with kids that are 10 years younger than us, like everything's on their phones. And that kind of can be a big distraction from God if used in a negative way. Like social media can definitely be used in a positive way. But what do you think?
I think that's definitely true to a degree. I think a lot of people abuse social media. This is why, like, you know this. This is why we have the YouTube channel, because we're trying to be a light in a dark place, right?
Yeah.
Why do I think youth are... I think the reason why youth are inactive... Oh, he's in his little crate.
He's shaking it up.
Is largely because they haven't had an experience with it. I think the moment like you actually get to experience God for yourself, like you don't want to be inactive, because it's like it's so transformative. It's so cool. Like the first moment that I like truly really experienced God for myself, I was hooked.
Yeah. And
I didn't want to go back from that, you know? And I think that a lot of the current church model it's consumeristic in nature.
Yeah.
It's I go to church and I get to enjoy the music and the sermon, it blesses me. It's like it's like church is all about what I can get.
Yeah.
And yet the things in my life that have grown my relationship with God the most are not the things that I've ever received from church, but it's always in the area that I've served the church.
Yeah.
Mission trips, doing ministry, helping people out there that are in need, you know.
It's sort of the most fulfilling doing that instead of...
Yeah. And you kind of connect like, oh, this actually does matter. This does make a difference. You know, there's something better than all that kind of stuff. So for me, it's like, why do I think youth are inactive? Because so many of them don't have an experience of God.
Yeah.
Maybe they're even praying and like studying the Bible and all that kind of stuff and going to church and all that kind of stuff. But if they're not actually getting involved and like serving other people and being the hands and feet of Jesus, like he's called us to,
yeah,
then it's easy to kind of just be like, what's the point?
throw up your
Who
hands,
cares?
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my point.
your point.
Vicky says, advice for your first year of marriage. The first thing that comes to your mind, getting married in December. Ooh, congratulations, Vicky.
Congrats.
My little sister's actually getting married in December.
December 12th.
December 12th, like on a Tuesday. And so oddly enough, I get to conduct the wedding for my little sister. So that should be very interesting. Which I guess this question matters because it's like,
December 10th.
what am I going to say during that ceremony? I don't know.
Well, you did your brother's too.
I did do my brother's wedding service.
I mean, you have to like talk with them before you do it. Obviously, get their story and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So you know kind of what to do because you've done a service before.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to someone? What advice would you give to Vicky on her first year of marriage?
Whew. Don't expect to think that you have the other person figured out and their communication strategies. Like, I thought I knew like how Justin communicated and his love languages, but I really didn't. And that kind of like that know-it-all type of thing could get you into trouble and like can get you into more arguments and stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's true. Like, because even after like marriage counseling, it was like, oh, like, there wasn't a lot of surprises in marriage counseling. I felt we had done like professional counseling, and it's like, oh, I feel like we're good. But then yeah, you're right. When we got married, it's like,
because you're living together.
hold on, there's still some things that we got to figure, and there's
Yeah.
still things that we're figuring out to this day.
Yeah.
So that's good advice. That's good advice.
Well,
Don't feel like you already have them figured out.
Yeah, don't have expectations either. Like, oh, my marriage is gonna be like this year. It's gonna be great. I mean, like, just go with the flow and be open and honest. Yeah,
That's good advice.
go with the flow.
Good advice. What advice would I give? I would say be patient and realize that marriage is a journey.
It's a journey, never ending. Anyways.
Oh yeah. What I mean by that, be patient and realize that marriage is a journey. I think that for me, like I'm so quick to want to like fix things like in the moment. And if it doesn't get fixed, then there's something wrong. And that's just not the way that like real life relationships go.
Oh.
And so in a journey, there are great moments and there are terrible moments. There are moments of joy and disappointments. There's stress. There's all kinds of emotions.
Yeah.
And so for me is to recognize, hey, that's what marriage will be like. Not to say that, you know, you're going to feel hopeless when you're going through these kinds of things, but like there are seasons of marriage. I guess kind of what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
There are seasons where things are awesome, i.e., let's say the first couple months after you get married, your honeymoon, you're just on cloud nine, everything's great. But then a lot of people, when they get back from their honeymoon or they get back from whatever that season is, and they're like, oh man, this is actually starting to be hard.
Real life.
Real life, exactly. And
Real life.
that's just as much of marriage as is the honeymoon. And so being patient and realizing that marriage is a journey, so you don't have to feel like, oh, I gotta fix everything
Yeah.
right away.
It's a journey.
Yeah. Unhappy wife, unhappy life.
Keep the wife happy. Sorry, I'm getting crazy.
All right. Let's see. We'll take one more question and then we are done. Let me see. Is there any other questions that I missed? Come say hi, Ronan. If you guys don't follow Ronan yet on
I'm sorry. I just hit
Emily just hit Ronan's head on the desk.
I'm sorry, Papa.
Oh,
I'm
poor
sorry.
baby. This is our son. He doesn't like being held very much.
Here's a treat. Stop. Here's a treat.
Here, let me hold him. He likes to be with daddy more.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does. You know he does. Hey, sit. Stay. Stay. Stay.
Okay, one more question.
Okay, any other questions? Let us know. We'll take one more before we take off.
I'm just spoiling it.
You are spoiling him. He doesn't need that many treats.
He wants it.
Yes, I know he wants it, but that doesn't mean that you're supposed to give it to him.
He's such a good puppy.
You guys gotta follow Ronan on Instagram.
He just posted some cute pics.
Post some cute photos from this weekend.
He looks at me. He has really good eye contact for a dog.
Eric, here's a good. This is a good question to round us out from our discussion on finances and things like that. I like this one. Good question, Eric. Any thoughts on pursuing an early retirement and financial freedom as a Christian?
Oh, sorry. Any thoughts? Sorry, I'm looking at the doc. Any thoughts on pursuing early retirement and financial freedom? I would love to retire early. That'd be nice.
That's your only thought on it? Yeah, that'd be great.
Financial freedom in Christ. If you can retire early, great, because then you have more time for like ministry and like mission trips and stuff. Like if I retired early, I would like travel and I'd like do mission work.
So let me ask you this, because I think this is what determines how you answer this type of a question. What do you define as retirement? What does retirement mean to you?
To me, it means not having like a full-time job, because then you have like more time to do things like
stay.
I don't know. That's what retirement means. Whether that's like you have a little bit of a job, like contract work to keep some afloat, or just not any work at all and you have savings. Yeah, that's what retirement means.
Retirement to me means having the ability to work on things that I want to work on.
Yeah. Huh.
Retirement isn't, oh, I've got this massive amount of money in the bank, therefore I don't have to do anything. In fact, the studies say that death rates skyrocket when people retire.
Huh. Because they just sit and watch TV.
Because, I mean, that's part of it, but also just like happiness levels, because it's like, why am I waking up anymore? A lot of people struggle with this. When they get older and they retire, it's like, what's the point of me waking up and living anymore?
Yeah.
And so I think like if the definition of retire means I don't have to do anything anymore, that's not the goal.
Yeah, that's why I said, like, if I was retired, I'd, like, want to travel and see the world and also, like, do mission work. So something with a higher purpose that God has called you to do still. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For Andrew says, you don't work, you don't eat. That's actually in the Bible, true. So that's why for me, retirement is, like, being able to choose how I want to work.
Yeah.
Or what do I want to work on and build.
Yeah.
And so if that's the definition I'm going on, Eric, like, yeah, I think that pursuing an early retirement and financial freedom would be awesome. Because, listen, like, I'm not doing the YouTube thing to be rich. By no stretch of the imaginations. Like, I mean, like, I do not make even close to, like, a living wage on YouTube. But I do it because it's something I value and I think it's important. And it's the thing I would do. Let's say I retired. I would still be doing this because I think it's important. And so I think so many people like look at retirement as just, oh, now I can be selfish.
Do you know that, something I didn't know, do you guys know the pastor Rick Warren? He's like pastor of Saddleback Church. He wrote the book Purpose Driven Life. Mm-hmm. I listen to his podcast sometimes. He's a good preacher. He said that he is retired now, but he's a full-time pastor. Like he basically saved up for like his retirement early.
So here's the deal.
It's so cool. I'm like, whoa, that's
Rick Warren like hit.
He doesn't take an income.
Yeah, he hit like the lottery. His book for years outsold every other book on earth. Yeah. Like he just made tons of money. So what he and his wife did, I thought this was kind of cool. If we ever win the lottery, this is what I'd like for us to do. Uh-huh. You know, there's tithing, giving 10%. What Rick Warren and his wife did, they did a reverse tithe. They gave 90%.
Wow.
And kept 10%.
That's amazing. That must be a lot of money then, because something off 10% is...
Yeah, he gave away... I mean, I'm sure he gave away a lot of money. But beyond that, like, yeah, you're right. He is a pastor at Saddleback Church, but he doesn't get paid by them.
Yeah.
He's technically a volunteer pastor.
Yeah. That's just so cool.
To me, that's the ideal retirement.
Yeah.
Is I get to just work and do the things that matter to me, the ministry that I feel called to do, and I don't have to worry about making ends meet. To me, that's the ideal retirement. And if I can retire tomorrow, that would be what I want.
I can't hear you, Nick says. Oh. Me or Justin? Or
the audio's going through. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's so cool.
That's the kind of retirement that I would love.
Yeah, I just like to serve in that way. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Maybe God will bless us with that. I don't know.
Maybe we'll get a $1 million super chat right now. Nope, no super chats.
Yeah.
Guess we still got to keep working. Got to see being disciplined. budgeting and saving and all those things that are super important.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Okay.
Cool. Well, thanks guys. Hopefully that conversation, I know that we kind of like went all over the place. Hopefully that was valuable. It wasn't as structured as most of our videos, but it was just, you know, us chatting and sharing life and stuff like that. So hopefully you guys appreciated that. If so, do me a favor, give this video a thumbs up. Let us know in the comments that you'd like to see Emily more on the live streams where we get to chat, do kind of more. What are you doing?
I have like a dog hair in my mouth.
Let us know. Hopefully we can do more of like the kind of informal podcast formats of the videos and things like that. Heads up, Thursday's video I think you guys are going to really enjoy.
Is it a collaboration?
No, it's not. It's an interview with a former atheist. I'm going to share with you guys an interview with a friend of mine who was atheist. Kevin Anthony. Who was atheist and ended up becoming a Christian, and kind of why he did that and his journey through that. And I think that's going to be something that you guys will really enjoy. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet. Turn on notifications to let you know when new videos are out, because we're posting more and more content, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. But until next time, babe, what do we say?
We're that Christian vlogger.
You redneck now?
Yeah, because everyone's from the South. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
We're that Christian vlogger.
And we want to encourage you to experience faith in the first person.
God bless.
God bless, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.